Hey, what's up? Zach here, and today I've got the all-new Curry brand and Tuff Crowd Spawn FloTro limited release collab shoe that is a mouthful. But I'll tell you what, for a shoe that is in the Flow line of the Curry brand, a lot of different things about this shoe versus some previous line Curry shoes, even the ones that are higher topped. So let's get into them. Now, starting off in the uppers, they are really eye-catching. These panels here are TPU panels, and those are mixed in or fused with mesh caging all throughout the shoe. Now, the tongue on these is very maximalist. It does have a pretty decent breathing channels on the outside of the tongue, but it is really padded on the underside. Now, going all the way from the toe up here into the ankle collar is really plush padding on the underside, or the skin touching side of the uppers, and that does create a really plush feel underfoot. However, it also does trap some heat. Now, if you look at the breathability mapping of this, I thought it was pretty cool. When you put the fog machine in there, it's blowing out the front meshing cage here on the top of the shoe. It's also blowing out the two sidewall panels of meshing as well. So air is coming out of this shoe. The only problem with it is that because it is so plush under there and your foot really does intimately contact all that material on the inside, there's not a lot of room for air exchange in the shoe. I noticed when I was playing with them, these were one of the few shoes on foot this year that the bottom of my foot actually did feel hot in, even just on an indoor court in a climate controlled area. So these things do hold on to some heat and a little bit of moisture as well. Now, if you look at that correlated on the breathability test with the heat gun, these things did heat up 135.0 degrees, then cooled down another 62.9 degrees. And although that's not some of the hottest shoes we've seen this year on the heat gun, for the profile of the shoe, for how light this shoe is, those materials can trap heat. However, I think as long as you're maybe wearing a thinner pair of socks on these or changing your socks throughout a game or a practice, I think you'd probably be okay. Just like I said, it's light enough and has enough mesh caging around it to where it'll exchange heat as long as you're not wearing anything too thick, so that there's actually channels for the air to get through when you're putting them on your foot. The one thing I absolutely love though about the Spawn FloTro is its lockdown. The lace line goes up very high into these Batman ears. It looks just like the LeBron 19 and the lockdown that had over your anterior ankle. Now, it does take a few times to break it in with the laces, just because it is a little bit, there's TPU there, so it doesn't want to flex too much. But once you tie them down a few times, you get this crazy nice, really just comfortable lockdown around the ankle. There's some shoes where, if they have a really high medial ankle and lateral ankle, I should say, it can start to dig in and kind of hurt. These really didn't at all for me. They almost just molded better and better and better every time I had them. So if you're looking for a flow line shoe with great lockdown, then yeah, I would definitely look into these. And on the upper durability test, 10-second tie grit sandpaper, like I said, these are TPU panels, so the burr does not get all the way through them. It gets down to almost like the clear coat layer underneath of it, but it does not get into the meshing. Now remember, this is flow foam, so you really shouldn't be playing with these outdoors anyway. But on indoor courts, I don't think the friction gets high enough here to really do a ton of damage. It will on the flow foam, but I think on the TPU paneling, probably should be okay. The midsole of the Spawn FloTro is where we start to return to, most Curry flow line shoes. You get an entire bed of flow foam with that really long, broad shank that starts in the midfoot and then goes up into the forefoot for a really nice, bouncing type effect, really nice diving board effect. Now the thing is, remember, flow foam is made of the same materials as diaper elastic, so it is very springy feeling, very just lively feeling underfoot. Combine that with a huge shank, and you're gonna get almost like a bounce house on top of a diving board. Now, if you look at this on the bounce height test, got 36 centimeters in the heel, and then 38.5 here in the forefoot, which, doesn't get into the 40s, which is like, the crazy elite territory. However, when you're using the shoe as it's intended to be used, by putting energy into the shank and loading that with your forefoot and the ball of your foot, these things, just like the Curry Flow 10s and 11s, feel so nice and easy getting up off the ground. And because these ones have the better lockdown, so the shoe is acting more as an extension of your leg, to me, the Spawn FloTro has the best launch of any of the more recent Curry Flow line shoes out there. They all feel bouncy underfoot. These ones just gave me, maybe it was more confidence that I knew the shoe wasn't going to heel slip at all, but I think it was more just the lockdown to where my footbed almost just really kind of meshed in with the flow foam, and it was just much more of an efficient use of that system, especially with that shank. And getting into the outsole tread, you know, like all flow foam shoes, it is just the flow foam and stamped with a tread. It's the same stuff as in the midsole. Now, it's pretty similar to their Curry Flow line shoes, right? You got these more oval shapes here on the ball of your foot, and that gives way to more of that chunky, kind of jutted out pattern here that goes into the forefoot and into the heel. The thing though I love about more recent flow foam shoes is, number one, they're bulging the heel out really wide, giving you much more stability. And then the Spawn FloTro, they created this really nice bulbous lateral flange on these that does kind of come back here into more of like the dead center midfoot. So these were also the most laterally stable flow foam shoes I've played in ever, I guess, just because of this piece right here also combined with, you know, a little bit of a better lockdown in the uppers. So obviously there's a lot here that is meant for more containment, more maximalism in the Curry shoes, which is nice to see to kind of contrast to the Curry Flow 11. But just like the Curry Flow 11 on the grip test ramp there at 30 degrees, the Spawn FloTro does not budge a millimeter, just like the other more recent flow foam shoes. On a dusty court, once you start picking up dust, they are going to start to slip a little bit. Remember, this pattern relies on surface area contact. That's why it does so well on the grip test ramp, right? Because it contacts so many different points on there for grip. Plus, flow foam is pretty grippy, especially out of the box. If you want to keep it grippy though, you better keep rubbing it down when you are playing, right? So if you're playing on dusty courts. Anytime you're taking a water break or whatever, find a second to wipe them down and your grip will be much better. And just don't take them outdoors, because once dirt starts getting into here, that's what really ruins that really intimate surface area contact of the sole of this shoe. Now, if you look at this on the speed ratio, once again, much like the Curry Flow 11, come in at a 2.77. That is a very representative number for this shoe. These things get off the blocks quick, they grip very well, and they're very bottom light, but also in this model, very, very stable. So if you're looking to cut hard, get off the blocks quick, or kind of go from low speed to high speed, these are just fantastic. Like I said, you just got to keep them clean. Now, if you look at the outsole durability test, 10 seconds highest grit sandpaper, like all flow foam shoes, the burr just rips right through this. When you have a durometer in the single digits, that's usually what happens. Like I said, these are meant for indoor hardwood and rubberized courts. I think as long as you keep them on there and you have lighter footwork, they'll last you decently. But if you're someone that produces a lot of friction on court, get ready for these to start to wear down. And when they do start wearing down, just kind of remember, you're going to have to, I would say, practice your footwork. You know, at maybe month 1 or 2 having these shoes in, you're gonna have to go out there on the court and just kind of see where these things are grabbing and how they're grabbing, because the traction profile of these is going to change a little bit differently than shoes that have rubber for outsoles. And I think the most surprising part of the Spawn FloTro was its fit. It is not as unforgiving as I thought it would be when I saw them online and when I first took them out of the box. They actually expand pretty nice. I think it's all the paneling of mesh here. The TPU gets pretty thin right here, like kind of right where, you know, your bunion or tailor's bunion would sit if you have one. Narrow and medium foot, then go true to size. Even a 2E for me, I went true to size and I really had no problems with these, even when I was heating them up a lot, right? Like even when I was actually, you know, starting to put a lot of heat and you know, a lot of blood flow into my foot. I really did not have any cramping these. So I think a 2E, you want a performance fit, go true to size. You want a lot of room in there. I mean, you have a really bulky orthotic, you can go up a half size on these. A 4E. I actually think if you really want them, I think a 4E can go up 1 size in these and still be pretty comfortable. The length is pretty standard. I am actually putting the widths and lengths now in all the videos now so you can, you know, compare and contrast them. Those numbers are all going to be on the digital spreadsheet version of the Ultimate Basketball Shoe Guide as well. So into 2024, all of the shoes that I reviewed that, you know, are still current for that year are going to have exact lengths and widths. So if you do want to pick up the 2024 guide, I will leave that linked in the description below. below. And that's really been handy now because now you can directly compare the exact length and width of every shoe. So you can sort it by narrowest or sort it by widest with actual just like physical measurements of the shoe. So if you want to check that out, that'll be down below. Now I think for the snake bitten foot, like most Curry shoes, FloFoam is very forgiving. The stack isn't super high, but the compound of the foam is fantastic. These will fit an orthotic better than just about every other Curry shoe out there right now, besides some of the retro shoes. So I think even like a bulky custom orthotic, and you can fit in here a low profile orthotic, obviously is going to be, you know, the easiest for these because then you will keep the lightweight nature of the shoe as well and the bottom light nature of the shoe as well. So like I said, snake bitten foot, FloFoam plus an orthotic, I think these are a fantastic option. And if you are an ankle sprainer and really want a Curry shoe, a flow shoe, this is probably the best one you're going to get. And last but not least, talking about the playability of the Spawn FloTro, I actually was able to play, you know, some half court in these. And even though I still can't shoot, these were actually a great shoe to grab rebounds. These were a great shoe to get kind of quick hops off the ground for. Felt really fast in these, and I feel like I could cut pretty easily in these two. The only thing about these that like I said I was noticing was the heat on the bottom of my foot. Everything else on these I thought was absolutely elite. I thought, you know, multiple rebounds, multiple jumping, especially if you're someone who is just trying to grab rebound after rebound, or someone short like me trying to get up in the air over somebody else. I thought these were a fantastic option. I was doing a lot of layups in these because I was really trying to practice some things with my layups, and I was just going around and around and around and around, and I really had no fatigue in my feet whatsoever. That shank in these just protects the ball of the foot, and it protects that metatarsal phalangeal joint dorsiflexion just so well. So I think for a jumper, you know, or especially a guard who's like a jumper, these are just awesome shoes, and they just, like I said, they cut better than most other Curry shoes on the market right now. Honestly, if I was doing my top 5 basketball list right now, these would definitely, you know, be in the conversation for me to get in the top 5 if it weren't, you know, just except for the heating issues on there. But like I said, if you're somebody that's wearing thinner socks, doesn't mind, you know, spray some dry spray on your foot, doesn't mind changing your socks here and there, then I think you really won't mind at all. So I think for a shoe, if you're looking for bounce and launch, but also a shoe that's, you know, decently protective of your foot, like I said, these are just a lighter version basically of the AG4 by 361. That's kind of what I kept thinking of. These like the Curry flavor of LeBron 19. So like I said, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below if you are picking up a pair of these. I guess they are a limited run, so I'm not sure how long these are going to be out, or if they are making additional ones of these throughout the year. So I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. And speaking of the AG4 by 361, a shoe that I found one of the best for jumpers, not necessarily, well, yeah, I mean, it is a very good shoe for bounce, but also for impact protection. You want to see that shoe go under the knife, make sure you click into this video up above and subscribe down below. Respect your rubber and foam. I'll see you somewhere in the Sneakerverse.